How would it feel to have a thriving fitness business and have the freedom to enjoy life at the fullest? Well, that is exactly what the Trainer Revenue Multiplier Show is going to give you. My name is Mathew Park. This is Jaime Filer.
Hey guys.
And we are here to serve. Guys, hope you guys are having an awesome weekend. As you guys can see, I have a special guest, a special friend, a special colleague, a buddy here from Toronto driving down in his wonderful Cadillac. White Cadillac, that beige Cadillac, buddy, was in style.
You're going to have to get one now.
I drove that pretty nice, by the way. And he came down, and we had an awesome weekend together for the last day or so here with the kids, the family. Yeah. The Rock came down, and Viev was here. We had dinner together, talked core values, talked mindset, business, the whole 9 yards.
All 9 yards.
With the kids, dancing with the kids the whole time, and cheers. I done some coffee for me as well, too, by the way.
That's right.
So, guys, as you may know, Alvin Brown is a TRM leader, a valuable TRM leader we've had for the last couple of years now in TRM. He's a best-selling author of 3 books. 2 books, 3 books, bro?
Yeah, 2, 1 on the way. 2
on the way.
Yeah.
So, guys, the book actually is right behind me. I'm just going to show you guys a little snapshot here. This actually is the book that Mr. Brown there, if you guys can't have a check there, look it out on Amazon. The Journey to Personal Greatness book. This is the one you guys want to check out. And that is his book he has right now. And we're going to talk mindset because this is actually his wheelhouse with personal mastery is mindset. And we're talking this actually over the course of the weekend.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I was some of you don't know me, I was an elite athlete aspiring to become pro. And it just never worked out. I mean, things happen for a reason with everybody. So one of my books in the future will be called Unfinished Business because I feel, there's unfinished business that I got to do. There's a path I was on and it got diverted. Many reasons why, and fate might be a fate that I should be here right now, and that's okay. I'll go with that. Take advantage of that. And so one thing I found out on that journey is that when I would be practicing in the studio, I was also a professional dancer as well, competitive dancer, professional dancer. I was great in the studio, in the ring, in the gym, amazing. Mm-hmm. I was a superstar in my mind in the gym. Everything flowed beautiful. I got out to the ring, to the dance, to the stage, somebody else showed up. Someone cut me off on the way there and showed up instead of me. And I was always wondering what the hell is going on. Yeah. So this is where my motivation came from, the mindset piece, is that something goes on between our ears, that we show up and the wrong person shows up. The person who thinks in their mind they're legendary in their mind, but they get there as a whole other person. So I've been passionate and interested in this. What happened? And then over 30 years of working with people as a personal trainer first, then an osteopath, now a coach, and I own my own multidisciplinary clinic. Thousands of clients have gone across my table in my room, and I see the same thing. I see it in their life, I see it in their business, I see it in their sports mindset. So this is what I'm so passionate about, this personal mastery. And just like the name says, it's about mastering yourself. Forget about outside. There actually is the opponent, another person shows up to compete with you, but there is no bigger opponent than you. It's true. That 3-pound mass between our ears. We didn't get the instruction manuals for it. So we have to learn.
So here's a question, because I think a lot of our trainers who go through our program, and you've obviously seen them with Alvin because you're on almost all of our calls from TRM to the group coaching, everything. Right. Yeah. Is the self-sabotage game of you kind of come in the program, you get results, all of a sudden you start self-sabotage. Do I deserve this money or deserve the income or deserve the success?
Yeah.
How do you look at that from an area of how would a coach help overcome the self-sabotage aspect?
There's so many techniques, practical strategies, not just pump you up. You can do it. No, there's actually practical strategies that you can implement in your life to change the narrative. Because most of that narrative that you have about imposter syndrome, you don't deserve to be here, people are going to find me out, I am, fooling people and all this, that's not your narrative. That's been through cultural conditioning friendships that you've had, someone of influence that you've given the power to somewhere in your life has told you what you could be, how far you can go. Sometimes, get this quote, familiarity breeds contempt. Those who think they know you won't allow you to get into who you really should become, because they think they know you, because that's the way they grew up being comfortable with you being, and now you're trying to be somebody else, they don't want you to be that way, because you're going to challenge their belief and their comfort zone. So there's many reasons that we have to dive into and dissect, and it's just not a one shot. There's no, or else people change. There's no seminar, no one. This is training, personal mastery training. It's as if when I got into my business, practice. When a professional gets into practice, that's what it is. You're constantly practicing.
Yeah. And
training is just that. You got to just keep on training the mind.
So when a coach goes to that phase of like, making their first 10K months, the second, they're almost like, oh my gosh, I'm making all this income now, but I've been making 3 to 4 to 6K a month for 5 or 10 years probably, or even like 7K on their best month. All of a sudden they make all this extra income. What are actual techniques you would suggest or ideas you give a coach like that to say, you know what, here's what you would want to do to help become more of that. That's your new norm. That's kind of your new wealth limit you talked about obviously in the mastermind. Wealth limit of a 20K coach now, as opposed to a 5 or a 7K coach you've been so neurologically programmed for so many years.
So that's a great question, because that comes down to where you have to build it right, build your foundation right. You can't. That's why it's good not to rush things. Lottery winners, people win the lottery, and a lot of athletes who come from a low socioeconomic background and who gets vaulted into a contract, a big contract, because they're talented, end up 3 years after both groups, the lottery winners and the athletes.
True.
Both groups are broke a few years after they retire, a few years after they win. So we want to slowly but surely earn our way up to that level. And when you do, start to look at your wins. This is where looking at your wins, tracking, because it's so in our mind, it's so easy to look at what didn't go right. Somehow we can always conjure up the 1 out of 10 things that went wrong, quote unquote, and let that get bigger. And all of a sudden diminish the 9 that went right. It's just a human nature thing. It's the way we use to protect ourselves. We want to not be vulnerable, so we do things to protect ourselves, and that involves being the first one. We are the first ones to deliver ourselves, and that's in lieu of you doing it to me. So I'm going to do it to myself first.
Of course.
That way, there's no bigger critic than me.
100%.
So it's a self-sabotage thing to protect our ego. So what we have to do when we start to level up is start to track your wins. I have something I give to my client I call the "You Done Good" list, and it's a list of everything you've ever done great. The Little Leagues trophy you won that you forgot about, the black belt that you got in whatever, the yellow, green, whatever belt that you have, the game you won, the child you have, the successful whatever it is, you name it. Build a list of things you did great at, and review them on the regular, because it's too easy to think back at the ones we didn't do right. Shame and guilt, to just back in the past and regret. And so we have to build things in our current present moment that builds us up instead of tearing us down, because it's easy to tear yourself down. It's easy. That's an easy work.
Totally.
Right? So it's remembering what you did right.
So one thing you talk about in personal mastery is also identity, right? And uncovering that new level that you mentioned out your things, of course, that you did in your past, that of course you're proud of, or that of course your wins to reinforce that. So do you incorporate those wins into this new version that you're creating for yourself to, like, again, create that confident self you're striving for, and then reinforce that? You talk about PMT principles, right? Reinforce that over time to recondition that system of yours. If
the classic quote, right? Fake it till you make it, and a lot of people don't like that. However, think about this for a second. Thinking you're no good at something is actually faking it. That's a good point. We're so quick to take on that fake, but we're not quick to take on the other fake, because the other fake, when you are thinking of yourself as being great, that comes with vulnerability.
Right.
So because to tell yourself you're not good at something, Let's take imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
Let's take imposter syndrome. All of a sudden, you make it up to the top in your organization, or you're at the top of the game in whatever.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you have this fear that someone's going to find out that you actually shouldn't be there. That's actually the fake.
It's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got there for a reason.
Yeah. It's a very good point.
You got there but now you're faking that you're a fake. So why not do the flip side? We fool ourselves all the time. You know, the Shakespeare's quote, we're all actors on a stage in our lives. We're acting something. Why not act like you're better than?
Of course.
That.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, Muhammad Ali did it before he was legendary. Everybody knows this one. I am the greatest.
I love it.
I am the greatest. And he did that before everyone else
Same with
thought he
Arnold.
was.
Same with Arnold, man.
All the greats put themselves in a state of greatness.
100%.
So, you know, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Now, if you're going over the line where you're boastful and narcissistic, that's another whole level. But
exactly,
we're talking about the average person. We just need to get into another whole persona and just put the audience you're trying to get to first. Make them first. So I'm being great for you, not for me.
I like that.
I'm being great for you. I'm going out there and putting myself out there for you. Because there's someone who needs the information you have. There's someone who needs to hear what you have to say. There's someone who's struggling right now with the problem you have. So that book needs to be written.
Yeah.
That podcast needs to be put out. That person who's struggling now, who may, this information may be the thing they do when they stop harming themselves.
Of course. 100%.
But you're holding on to it because your ego is in there.
Yeah.
Let it go. No one cares about us as much as we do. We're our own worst critics. So you can, and you know what? Here's what also allows me to do my work. I know that if you're cutting me, I'm in the arena.
Yeah.
You're in the stands.
Yeah.
And people are in the arena, never take the time to bring somebody else down because they're in the arena. They know they're vulnerable too.
Right.
But if you're not being vulnerable, you can say whatever you want to somebody.
100%.
You can be a keyboard warrior behind. And most of those people don't have an image on their photo. They don't have anything up. They're blocked. They're private.
They're totally blocked. They have this wall up, right?
Wall up.
Yeah.
So you're watching. I'm in the arena. Because if you're in my arena, you won't say anything. You'll just support. You'll support because you know the journey is hard.
You know, we talked about even one of my core values is truth. I think truth almost kind of comes in here because you talked about like that you're kind of shoving for as far as the new person you're creating for yourself is almost like that truthful self. Mm-hmm. Even though maybe there's areas you're striving to get toward, it's truthful to you because you believe it, right? Mm-hmm. It's you're retraining your neurological body and system and brain and all your basic levels. So basically be that next person you want to go into. That obviously is truth at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So like not being truthful is actually not actually going up and leveling up that person because now you're actually disproving who you actually you should be going up towards, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing though. You know, for all of us, stepping up your game. There's a great book I recommend to a client that I had a call with. Yeah, called The War of Art. The War of Art, not the Art of War.
Well, The War of Art.
The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And it talks about this idea that when you are doing something you love, that is signature to you, your passion, you will meet resistance. When you're doing menial work that isn't close to you, it's easy to do that because there's no chips on the table.
Yeah, makes sense.
There's no harm. There's no vulnerability. But the minute you do your passion, resistance comes and all the narrative starts coming up because you know this is where if somebody cuts you up, you're hurt. Yeah. This one hurts. This one hurts. If I'm doing your project and working for you and someone cuts it up, I can just blame you. That's their thing, not mine. I don't care. You can tell me whatever you want. That's their deal. But the minute you start to cut up my work, my book is out and you made a bad critic of that's my book. That hurts. So I'd rather not do that. But I refuse to have my music still in me, die with my music still playing.
So what Alvin's kind of mentioning is kind of cool because he's talking about this evolution of growth that we're stepping on, right? As we grow as coaches and trainers in the industry, we go from this level to that level, and in this level, there's these growth levels you're going to be going through, which of course are going to feel uncomfortable, or barriers will come up, there'll be pain points to go through, and that's totally normal. That's all part of the process. Yeah. But coaches, of course, will kind of level up. All of a sudden, they'll want to level back down because they don't face this level, this barrier head on, and work through it for a couple of weeks or a month or two to go to the next step upwards, correct?
Yeah, you know what they say, right? At every new level, there's another devil that you didn't know was there.
And we all go through it, man.
We all go through it. Every single one of us. If you're at 5 figures now, you may be comfortable. Get to 6.
Yeah, totally.
You're gonna be uncomfortable again, and then there's the 6. You know, there's 100,000, 200,000. There'll be discomfort.
Sure.
5, 500,000. There'll be discomfort. Then you get to 7. And now there's super discomfort because who's going to come and take it? Who's going to want my money? Who's going to, geez, they start taking the next level, 8 figures up. You're trying to protect your money from the government. There's all kinds of, there's so much. There's so much. Every level, there's a new devil. So get used to it. That's
well, you're factoring in money, but also we factor, you know, our coaches, of course, who have like kids or their family life, or they're trying to, you know, whatever, you know, that's all different levels, because now you're factoring money, but also you're factoring in like how do you balance entrepreneurship and coaching with raising 1 kid or 3 kids or 5 kids, whatever it is. You got 4, so you went through that already.
I went through that. And that again is where you keep your head in the game. Having somebody hold you accountable, as well as having an image. This is where identities come in. Identities are super important. I have different identities for all my roles. Because imagine, one thing I found out, so as a therapist, a healer, per se, if I have that hat on, healers don't take money.
Oh yeah, good point.
Right? They do it from their heart. So imagine attempting to run a business where business is about money. Sorry to say that, but if you're running a business, it's about money. That's how you pay the bills. You can't go to the bank with karma coins. No. Listen, I did good. I helped like 8 people. What's that worth on the bank? Right? There's nothing. Not much. Not much. You're not in the bank. So it's all about numbers. So what we need to do is we have an identity. So I have to change my identity. When I'm in the treating, when I'm working with people, I put that identity on, helping that person, loving them, helping them. Mold them. Yeah. When I go to be an entrepreneur, I have a different identity, because that takes a different identity. I can't bring the healer who takes no money to doing business. Right. So you have to create athletes do that. When they're off the field, they're loving, they're, you know, how about the doctor who wants his wife and kids to be there, his nurse at work, where they order them around, or they're a different character. You do that at home, you're having a divorce. Yeah. Sooner or later, you have the kids hate you. Yeah. You know, so you have to put on a different identity. When you're done doctoring, take the mask off, take everything off, put some, you know, clothes and go do the yard. Go clean the yard. You know, then you remember, I'm not being a doctor anymore. I'm being dad, fun, whatever that might be. Right. So
totally, man. Totally. So we talked about more about like success. What about like when it comes to worth? Because I think one of the things we've also talked about in TRM a lot is like when you start raising your prices, you start asking for more on your packages. You start wanting, you know, again, your worth becomes a big deal now, right? So, you know, one of the things, of course, you know, you went from 0 to 10K plus months in like under 6 months. Obviously, that's a pretty significant growth curve. But you also went for big whales. Right. So that's also like a curveball, not a curveball, like a different angle you approach. Yeah. Tell us more about like, you know, that mental philosophy of like worth and the big whale philosophy and like that money aspect of like, you know, that kind of angle, right?
You know, you have to do, have. So you have to be it before you become it. So in your mind, in your personal self, you have to claim that position, claim that you're great before. Yeah. Then you have to do the things great people do. So you can't have, as they say, they say a champagne taste with a beer budget. You know, and so you can't have this, I want all these things, but not willing to do the things they do. Yeah, exactly. That present the level of execution that a person at that level does. And then you will have everything they have. Makes sense. Right? Success leaves clues. If you look at successful people, they can't operate like on a beer, you know, they can have a champagne taste, but a beer budget, the way they deliver things. They deliver it at the highest level. They give the baker's dozen. You know, we buy because of experience. We buy because of the way it makes us feel. I'm a sucker that way. If you make me feel good, a thing makes me feel good. The kids know it. They see when I walk into a store to buy, say, a clothing suit, and they see that person is doting over me and saying, "Oh, they look," and the extra service is there, and they know, get the credit card out of his hand because he's buying the store. You know,
it's more like take the credit out of your hand.
right. But if I get treated another way, a flip side, if I get treated in a way I don't feel good, I don't even care if it's good quality. I'm out. I'll go buy the lower quality where I feel. So it's about presenting and giving what you want. You want to feel good. You want good service. Then give that too. And that's where I think I've done my business, where I really work to give the client a great experience.
100%.
Right, all the time.
100%.
So I think you can have Zig Ziglar.
Yeah.
If you give everybody what they want, you can have everything you want.
That's so true.
Right. So
yeah. What's a tool you recommend? You know, you've been here now for 2 years. You've seen a lot of our clients and coaches go through a lot of the phases of their growth. What is one of the most important tools you see from like a mindset, mental programming, performance level, like mental side of it, that you see our coaches, you always give them the same kind of tool over and over again that really kind of helps them grow their business even more mentally and emotionally? What's that one tool you think that kind of hits home the most, Alvin? What do you think?
That's actually that's a great question. Never thought about that question, but it's easy answer actually. Okay. Clarity. So many coaches where we start with them come in and they want to serve everybody. Because it's such a human nature to not lose.
Right.
You think you're losing something by attempting to narrow your focus and narrow your market. You think, what about that person over here and that person? And maybe in your past or current business, you're working with a 6-year-old who is just crushing it. And you love that. It's so amazing. And then you go and work with an 80-year-old who's also crushing it. And you think, what? I want to serve everybody.
Yeah.
Well, those are outliers at the end of the day. When you think about it, you have a certain niche that you want to serve. And because creating creating marketing for everybody is really difficult. How are you going to create a marketing for a male from 15 to 70?
Yeah.
What would that message look like? They want different things.
Yeah, pretty plain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you create a message for the female with 2 kids and maybe divorced and looking to get her body back and her hormones? Or how would you create that when you're trying to also pitch to the 80-year-old?
True.
Or it's
yeah.
So I think the goal, first thing someone has to do is, who would I love working with? And stick to that.
I love that.
And really, it sounds very, very. It's people listening to this at some point will push back at that. Oh no.
Well, I think what's funny is we were just talking about this actually over dinner or lunch a couple hour ago or so over Patino's about the power of focusing on a business, like one business. Like so it goes back to the very same thing. Yeah. Focus actually is probably one of the hardest things for trainers to do. Actually, is focus.
Many entrepreneurs,
right? Because we're being trained like more than ever about distraction and phones and notifications. So we're being trained not to be focused.
Yeah.
So our brains are weighing this this mode of bang bang bang.
Yeah.
Where you're talking about almost a powerful mindset tool of like concentration and focus, which actually will help a trainer that clarity to grow their company faster because they're focusing on the few to get the many.
Yeah, and it's a FOMO thing too.
FOMO thing. There you go.
Yeah, the fear of missing out. We all have that. This is a wiring in us. We have the fear of missing out. So we think and the worst off social media.
Yeah.
Because we jump on that thing and see we see the commercials of people's lives.
Oh, 100%.
Just a commercial.
100%.
We don't get to see the full show.
Well, and that's only one thing. You've got commercial, but also like all the ads coming up. So you're getting ads, you're getting advertising, you're getting commercials, you're getting, it's getting almost more and more all the time, right?
So we think that we're losing out on something.
Right.
When we're not.
Yeah.
We're losing out when we lose on focus. We will definitely lose out. So I think the number one thing that you're saying that a trainer can do is to get someone to hold them accountable to focus.
Yeah.
When they can do that, lasers.
100%.
And then your marketing, so many things get easier. Your marketing gets easier because when you sit down to think about your audience, when you think about everybody, it's tough to create marketing for everybody.
Totally, dude. Totally.
But when you narrow your focus, it's easy.
Yeah.
One stream. And then your golden 50s and everything you talk about in the modules.
As you were saying that, I was kind of getting a moment because as you said that about like clarity on our avatar, what kind of got my mind is that I almost had this brain thing kind of clicked for me of like, oh, this is a unique idea. is that when we bring people into TRM and they start to niche down an audience of a specific clientele, right? And they do that for years and years, almost like they become masters in that domain over 5, 10, 20 years. All of a sudden, everybody actually comes after that.
Yeah.
It's almost like you go like this. You go like boom, and then you go boom, and then you go boom,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like, oh my gosh, now everybody's coming to you that you want marketing to that person because they see you work with these kind of people and you're so good at what you do. The surgeon now becomes an authority that can charge 10 times the price.
10 times, 10x.
10x the price.
And people pay it. That's the thing too, because when you hear me, I'm writing the check.
True. Yeah.
When you hear everybody, it's again. I think you mentioned it in your modules. A GP over a surgeon.
Yeah.
Especially a surgeon. Now, even surgeons, even that metaphor has levels. So you have a GP who will get, good figure.
Yeah.
Right. Make a nice income. But that GP starts to go specialized, say shoulders.
Heart surgeon or.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I only do heart. But here's the thing. It gets even better when that surgeon does the ventricular part of the
heart.
Right. And then
even more below that,
right.
Yeah.
Then it's like, whoa, that's a ninja. Let's bring the ninja in.
It's a ninja move. Now you're the one person probably in the whole country.
World.
Now there's a list of wait, a 1 year wait for the person, plus you got to pay this much price for the person. So now it becomes an even bigger deal, right?
That's it. That's the same metaphor.
So it goes the same thing towards coaching. It almost becomes this mindset of like not FOMOing, like the fact that you're going to niche down. But then niching also isn't, you stop at one. It's like even my own, TRM niches. We reached down to 5 different times in the last 4 years, probably more like 6 in the last 5 years, and we keep niching down even more.
Yeah, and I will be doing the same.
Same thing for you for PMT.
Yeah, I'll be doing the same.
Yeah,
fitness athletes. Now I'm getting, but the ironic thing is, so here's something I want everyone to think about. Although I'll work with fitness athletes and competitors, I'm getting a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mindset that they're looking for. It's the same mindset. That's why my book, when you see my book, it's got the glove and a suit, because I took the same mentality I took to sports to business, because it's the same. There's a lot of quotes out there about business being 80% mindset, 90%, same as sports, because you can teach the 12 modules, and his 12 modules are on point. They're amazing. However, I was telling him, I only think 20% of people will be successful. There's books. Look at his shelf. There's a lot of books written, but how many people finish a book? There's 57% of people who buy books, I heard, don't finish them.
True. Yeah.
Some don't open them.
I haven't read all these books yet.
Yeah.
They're on my shelf. But
right, and there's stuff in there. Me too.
100%.
Like we all don't. They look good. They feel good to buy them, but we just don't crack them.
They go there for a couple of years. I know we're gonna read that book, or you might even read the book at all.
And when the student's ready, you read that book and you go, "Oh my God, that's what I was looking for."
Yeah, 100%.
So
totally.
That is application. So, anyways, that I think there's so many. Success is really not that sexy, because when you look at, I did something about Usain Bolt. He ran 9.6 seconds, 9.5, some crazy number.
It's fast, yeah.
Fast, man. And the thing is, it took him. People say, to get that, it took him 11 years or more, his whole life, to get to 9.6. So we get to celebrate him now. But what about the years when no one was there? So success is really not a whole lot of sexy. It's very mundane to deliver one thing. I love Bruce Lee, and I'll finish with this one. Bruce Lee's quote says, one of his quotes, he says, he doesn't fear someone who does 1,000 kicks once. He fears a person who does one kick 1,000 times. All right? And Mariano Rivera, the pitchers for the Yankee, the closer, he had one pitch. Yeah, everybody knew what was coming. Yeah, but just couldn't stop it.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, go, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's been awesome having you in Montreal, man. It's been a great looking for having you again. In the flesh again from Montreal. You'd head back there on the road for a couple of hours. So guys, it was more so giving you guys a little bonus live of like me and Alvin kind of sharing his mindset tactics for coaches out there, of course, in the fitness world, and of course, give you some values. Other than that, we're going to wish Alvin a fantastic, safe trip back to Toronto, and have you definitely back, back to Montreal again here a couple of months ago.
Amen.
Who knows, buddy? So
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll go from
Absolutely.
there, buddy. You need us to dance, or is that for a different day? Or?
I'm okay. No. Yeah.
Just go to the Instagram channel right now. You'll see a bunch of videos there for the next 24 hours. So.
There you go.
All right, guys. Have an awesome day, guys. Take care. And
All
thanks,
right.
bud. Always a pleasure, my
Yes,
man.
sir.
Buddy.
All right.